What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go.
Once you didn't see Shedeur Sanders as a starter, because of the smoke and noise around him, with Deion basically, his dad at Super Bowl week saying, we're going to control this. There are certain teams we're not going to play for. Travis is going to go 1. My son's going to go 3. That I did wonder, John, like the Tebow or Cam Newton effect. If he's not the starter, do you want the Deion noise as a backup for a year? Do you think that is what teams thought about once you got to the second round is, okay, now he's a backup. And I'm not sure teams love that Tebow level noise, celebrity quarterback backup stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you, I did a lot of digging these last couple days because I liked him as a player, and I just assumed he'd go somewhere between like 10 and 45,
Yeah, same here.
Maybe in the first round, maybe in the second round. So when he precipitous fall to the fifth round, you guys start texting around. And you've said this for a long time. Quarterbacks are held to an unfair standard. It's also why they make $50 million a year.
Right.
I mean, it's also why I would say they are now viewed as the biggest celebrity in sports, right up there with like, I mean, a level of like LeBron and Steph Curry immediately.
Yes. Yes.
So I would say from what I've heard, he had one of the worst off seasons that these teams have ever seen from a quarterback prospect. And that could be from a first rounder to a seventh rounder because
Right. Right.
they all act, you are a product of your class, right? So if I'm a good looking girl and I walk into a bar and there are 10 supermodels, I'm not going to be viewed as highly as if I walk into a room with a bunch of ugly people. And in this class, it was a bunch of high level cats. Cam Ward, I know people with the Titans, they loved him. Drew Brees
Yeah.
said this a long time ago. Playing quarterback is like 70-30, intangible, off the field, upstairs, 30, my physical qualities. Peyton Manning couldn't beat me or you in a race. He didn't have a big arm. Tom Brady said, yeah, I couldn't play any other position in high school football beside quarterback. So
Right.
this class from Jalen Milroe, people love the guy. Dylan Gabriel, he had to be one of the favorites when it came to the coaching staffs. Obviously, the Will Howards, the Riley Leonards. These guys are the most impressive people of the entire draft when these coaches
Right.
and these GMs are meeting with them. They leave the room and these coaches go, God, I wish Riley Leonard and Will Howard were better players. Because
That's right.
they get drafted in the fifth, sixth, seventh round. Most people think, yeah, he's probably not going to be in the NFL long, but we love the guy. And
Yeah.
Shador's off the field is not bad. Never been in trouble or anything. But when you
Right.
act, there are only so many teams, right? It's a supply demand thing. Well, 6 teams last year drafted quarterbacks in the top 6. They're immediately out. There are several quarterbacks on rookie contracts. They're not going to be in the mix. And then the veteran teams, Andy Reid, the Bills, the Ravens, they're just consumed with trying to win the Super Bowl right now. So it's a small group, right?
Yeah.
So the small group, well, those were the people he met with and clearly turned them off. And McShay's been coming out with this report. What happened with the Giants of like, I don't need you, that never happens. And I think it's become popular because if you look at these comments online, it's like, go against the establishment, go against the man. It's like, guys, this is a business that if you're decent, you will make $40 million a year. Find me another industry that pays that level. And if you're like Cam
Yeah.
Ward, who was viewed as a fifth round pick, comes back, does all the right things, plays well, people love the guy. He's a first round pick. He's going to get $40 million guaranteed. So if he stinks, if he's terrible, Trey Lance is a good example. People love the guy, couldn't play, but he made $40 million. So to carry yourself, listen, we all look up to our parents, right? Or whoever raises us, and he looks up to
Yeah.
his dad. His dad is one of the greatest players of all time. And his
Right.
dad can act however he wants, just like great players can always act however they want. Because in a business like pro sports, there's only so many of them. His son was not that, and I think that really turned people off. The other thing that really bothers me is this narrative of like this is the NFL pushing back against NIL. It's like, guys, Cam Ward just made like $3 million playing at Miami. The NFL, every GM's a millionaire. Every assistant coach now is probably a millionaire, and obviously the head coaches are all making 10 to 50. They don't care at all. Travis Hunter, I googled his NIL deal. I mean, it was reported between $4 and $5 million. It's about being a good person. I mean, all these kids in college, the entire first and second round, they were driving Range Rovers and G Wagons last year in college. It's not about the money or the NIL. It's just like, one, there were a lot of red flags guys that were drafted well above Shedeur Sanders. Those guys were viewed
Yeah.
as good players. Now, I think Shador's a solid prospect,
So
but
do
but
I.
what I've heard about the way he's acting, like he would be an immediate turnoff to any human being, right? In any industry. That's not how young people act. And I think they tried to change their tactics from what I've heard the last like month, but it was too late. It's hard to pivot. And again, you're just compared, like they view you in a group with Jalen Milroe and Dylan
Right.
Gabriel. And so that's who you're compared to. You're not compared to Cam Ward. He has nothing in common with you, but he already, people like him on and off the field. So the group you're compared to, it's like, well, we love the people. What's up with this guy? Anytime it's like, what's up with this guy? And you play quarterback, like
Yeah.
that's a problem. The NBA 82 game grind is done. And now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for the high stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw dropping plays. Can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in games all the way through the finals. Now, the time to back your favorite players and teams as they chase glory. All season long, DraftKings has been your go-to spot for NBA player props, and that doesn't stop now. Want to make your playoff experience even more intense? Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will Curry drop 30? Will LeBron drop 40 or more? It's your call. Ready to place your first bet? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, lock in your bets, and let's make the playoff run unforgettable. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet 5 to get 200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN for new customers to get 200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Yeah. So I talked to an NFL general manager yesterday, and he said, Colin, he said, the conversation, we talk about players in this league. The conversation with quarterbacks is a separate conversation.
Totally.
We talk about quarterbacks like I would as a GM talk about coaching prospects. I'm talking about your temperament, your leadership. This GM said, when I hire coaches, very rarely will you get Andy Reid or Kyle Shanahan's scheme excellence. You're hiring CEOs. McVay's a CEO. Dan Campbell's not a scheme genius. He's a CEO. And he said, so he goes, that's what a quarterback is. He's your CEO on the field. So temperament, maturity, the guys rally around him. So the interview, how do you hire Sean McVay and not let him out of the building? It's not his resume. It's his interview. And so I do think, and this stuff, obviously Brian Daboll, the Giants, is going to say, no, the interview was great, because Brian Daboll has to go back on that Colorado campus over the next 4 or 5 years or next 10 years. So you'll never hear a coach bang on a university or a coach, because that coach is going to have 4 to 5 NFL players the next year. Totally. So you just swallow it and go, yeah, it was a great interview. But I think there's more than enough smoke here that process wasn't great. And I'll say it again. I do not like, and again, I did not think this would be an issue, but I was forced to talk about it once he's dropping out of the first, the second, the third, the fourth. Then I'm forced to talk about it. And my take was, well, if you're really making me pick what's a problem, I do think Deion during Super Bowl week exclaiming, this is on our terms. It wasn't until mid to late March that Deion went, okay, he can go anywhere. And I think it pissed people off. I know one team that was totally turned off. And remember, you go into a draft, John, as you noted earlier, there's usually, like, for instance, the Rams. The Rams decided before this draft they were going after a quarterback next year. That the Rams made a decision in-house. We probably need to get one in-house, but we're going to go for it next year. That's why they made that trade with Atlanta to get 2 firsts next year, because their first will be deep. So they're looking for a top 12 to 15 first, and if they have to use both to get like the second pick, because you're going to have Drew Aller, Clemson's quarterback, Arch Manning. So if they want to get up to like third or fourth in the draft, they need a second one. So the Rams There's about 7 teams a year that need a quarterback, either as a starter or a backup. And the Rams immediately decided with their trade, we're getting ours next year.
I think if you just looked at all the starters in the league that teams are either obviously elated to have or feel good about, I don't think you would find one that isn't basically an A plus off the field. And I think the one guy who's clearly mature, I don't know if Kyler Murray would fall under A plus, but he's clearly matured. I mean, I'm now living in Arizona, seeing the comments from him, and from a talent standpoint, I mean, you're older than me. He's got to be one of the most unique talents in the history of pro sports. I mean,
That's
he's
right.
one
That's
of the
right.
great blue chip physical attribute talents in any sport ever. We won't see a guy again get drafted in the top 10 and number one overcourt. He's 5'9". So it's like, yeah, it was a learning curve and his maturity. He's matured. Some guys mature slower. We've seen Baker and some of these guys, but for the most part, they are A plus everything in terms of leadership, intangibles, work ethic. People just like being around. There's no question. It never comes up. The last unit in the building I want to think ever about is my overall quarterback unit, not even just my starter, just the group. I know I'm going to have a couple D line issues, maybe a wide receiver. The quarterback issue, it's the last thing on my mind beside like an injury or something that I have to make like a tangible transaction for. And he basically handed them like they started seeing what they see in other positions, and they're like, this is insane. And this notion that
Here's the
like
thing.
the collusion and stuff, it was honestly kind of embarrassing by a lot of people around the NFL. I think former players and stuff. I think it was bad look by a lot of people that have no fucking clue what they're talking about.